it might just give you goosebumps when you hear about a story of survival and, frankly, some folks who became heroes, even though they didn't set out that day to become heroes, but they are. This is the story of a pilot and his two daughters who survived on the wing of an aircraft all night long after it crashed and was partially submerged in an icy lake in Alaska. They were eventually rescued after being spotted by a Good Samaritan who saw a Facebook post and another Good Samaritan who realized what was going on and alerted authorities, hey, we think we may have spotted the wreckage and they may still be alive. It's really just an incredible story, and we are going to share it with you now on Fox 10 Talks. We've been working the phones, getting a chance to talk to Dale Eichert. And Dale, can you hear me right now?
I can hear you.
Just testing out to see whether or not we can. I don't hear Dale. You guys can give me the high sign when we have him and all set and ready to go on the phone. But here's what we know so far. There's a fellow who saw a Facebook post, name of Terry Godes, who on this post called for people to help search for the missing plane. It didn't have a locator beacon. And so it crashed on Sunday afternoon while out over this lake on the Kenai Peninsula. And by Monday morning, there were about a dozen pilots who were out there scouring the rugged terrain in this part of Alaska. And then the next thing you know, a fellow named Terry Godes is out flying over Tustamina Lake near the toe of a glacier and spotted what he thought was the wreckage. In fact, Terry was quoted as saying, it kind of broke my heart when I first saw it. He said, but the closer I looked and I got down lower, I could see that there were 3 people on top of that wing. So we're going to pull in one of our pilots this morning who was part of all of this and try to get you some of the information in terms of what we can, in fact, pass along. He said after saying a prayer, he continued to approach and basically saw a miracle. All right, so we've reached out to Dale Eichert. And Dale, this is Ron Hoon with Fox 10 Talks in Phoenix. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us. This story, when we first went on the air, I said to our audience, you might likely get some goosebumps about this. Tell us how you first learned of the crash, and then when you got up in the air and how you were able to assist.
Well, I first heard about it on one of the Facebook groups that I was on, and I saw it posted. A guy from Florida, family friend, had posted it, and I decided that I knew the area pretty well, and I would go look for him as soon as it got daylight.
Okay, so you get up the next morning, and you're probably thinking, by the way, so this lake, I think, is what, maybe 50 miles or so south of Anchorage?
It's roughly 50, yes.
Yeah. So where do you live? Where did you base out of? And at what point did you actually get your aircraft in the skies?
So I'm based in Sterling, and I was in the air around 8:30. So I was one of the last ones up. I believe Terry was up a little bit before I was, and he was the one that found them.
Okay, so as I've been doing the research on this story, you were up in the air. A fellow named Terry Godes was up in the air. How did you communicate? How did you learn that we had survivors?
Yeah, so we were all talking on the radio to each other on the local CTAF, and I heard Terry come on the radio saying that he had found them in over Tustamita, and I was still in pretty good cell service, and I knew that he probably wasn't. So when he verified that he saw people walking around, I ended up calling the dispatch and telling them, and I got him the coordinates and all that.
Okay, so apparently there was a social media post that went out early on Monday morning from a family member, John Morris, who was asking people. He posted, he said, "Look, there are friends who are ready to search at daylight, but this is my plea for any and all to help locate my family." Was that the post that you had seen, or had you heard from somebody else? Hey, we've got an emergency situation.
That was the post, yeah.
All right. So tell us then a little bit about, were you actually able at that point to fly anywhere close to the area where the survivors were? Were you able to join some of the other pilots who were kind of centered over the lake? What did you see?
Yeah, so I was over Tustamita Lake when I heard Terry on the radio saying he had found them. So I flew down to Tustamita, and I flew over them the first time about 3,000 feet, and I was trying to stay high enough to stay on the phone with the troopers and get their coordinates. And then the second time, I wanted to get a picture to send to Morris and show him that they were alive and they were doing well.
At first, though, did you believe what your eyes were seeing? I mean, you're thinking, okay, there was a plane that crashed. It's been, I think, close to 12 hours. The odds that anybody would have survived all night long in that icy lake have got to be pretty minimal. What did you think when you actually saw they were still alive?
I was very surprised and very happy. Obviously, I wasn't really expecting if we would find them, and definitely if we'd find them alive was a good surprise.
Right. Okay. And so then how did things then unfold over the course of what, I guess the next hour or so? Was you alerted troopers via radio? Did you continue to kind of hover over that area and wait to make sure that they were rescued, or were you out of there after that?
So right after I took the photos, I actually went back home. Right before I took the photos, the C-130 was on site, and they were circling higher over them. And also Terry and another Cub had landed on the south side of the lake, and they were actually walking up towards them. They were probably still a mile away because it's a fairly large lake. But I knew that search and rescue was on their way. The Coast Guard helicopter was reported to be about 30 minutes out. So yeah, I left because I wanted to stay out of their way.
And what have you heard since in terms of what this pilot, what they were doing out there? I think I heard it was just a kind of a sightseeing expedition, and how they actually survived that night on that icy wing.
Right. So it definitely started out as a sightseeing trip, but I have not heard anything from them. So I really don't know, why did they land there? Was it an emergency? Did they just want to land on the ice? We don't really know what happened yet.
And one last question for you. It just has to do with this group of pilots who are out there, who have aircraft, who are able to act as good Samaritans. From where you live and knowing some of these other pilots that are out there as well, it seems to me that there's a whole group here that really deserves credit because they're willing to get up in the air and do what has to be done, to potentially at least get out there. You're holding out hope that you're going to be able to find survivors and get them the help. Tell me about some of the others that you and others that do these kind of operations.
Absolutely. Yeah, there was definitely a number of planes out there that were not spoken about on the news, and there was quite a few more that had said they were willing to go later in the day. So pilots as a whole, and especially pilots in Alaska, are a pretty close-knit community. So if we know that your life is at risk or you need help, we're going to do what we can to come and find you if we can.
It's so great. All right, Dale. I'm sure you don't want the moniker of hero, but I do think that the efforts that you put in, as well as the efforts that Terry put in, and the fact that this pilot and his daughters survived, put you in that category. We sure appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Well, there you are. Wow, what a story. Syleste joins as well. And it's just fascinating to see that people, I mean, you're up there. The weather was better, I think, the next morning.
Yeah.
But, you're willing to put your own life somewhat on the line to get up there and in those conditions try to find survivors.
Yeah, I mean, what an incredible story. I do in the chat box, folks are talking about this.
Yeah.
They're saying, it's beautiful country up there, and in a lot of those small towns in Alaska, those coastal towns, it's the only way to get there is by small planes, and some of those small aircraft, or by boat,
Right.
And so, what a story, though. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one of the quotes I saw was one of these pilots said, "Look, right before I went up in the air, I said a prayer because I knew we needed a miracle," and he said that really was exactly what happened. In fact, Dale, who we were just talking to, says there was a cloud layer.
Yes.
Over quite a bit of the mountains. They could have very easily been in those clouds, and we would never be able to get to them. They didn't have a locator beacon. They didn't know for sure where they were, but it turned out they were down in the icy waters of that lake. And the fact even that the plane stayed buoyant enough that they didn't sink right into the icy waters of that lake. How about that?
I know. It is wild.
What are you
sure.
seeing from folks chatting about it?
Now folks are talking about dinner.
Oh, well,
Ron, we've moved on.
Okay, fine.
I mean, there is great dinner along Alaska coastline. I mean, think about all the different fish you can catch.
Oh, I love that.
You can even catch halibut off the Alaska coastline.
I don't think this is Alaska. The question is for our mystery cam today, where is this? We're going to let you guys give us your guesses, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Well, we're settling back in after that amazing story of survival. The pilot and his young daughters who survived all night long on the wing of a plane that did not sink. Oh, just incredible. Mystery Cam time. Let's see, Celeste, what are you seeing for guesses?
So we have a ton of great guesses from all of you in the chat box. So we've got Kim Winnett with Jersey. We've got Lisa Dinsmore with Texas. Angela in Chicago. She says this is Chicago. Tyler Lewis. He says, last time when it was this green, wasn't it New York, like upstate New York, which, that's maybe like an Albany or something. I don't know.
Could be.
I might go with Tyler with the New York.
I think the skyline's too big for Albany, having been there.
Tyler Lewis says that Sheraton looks familiar.
Well, he's a traveling man.
I guess so.
Okay.
Linda Monter says Kentucky. So you guys all have some really great guesses this morning.
So what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with an Illinois.
I like Brandon today saying it's Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. That's
a
very
good idea.
specific. They have Sheratons in Canada. So, ready? Here we go, everybody.
Sheraton's in Canada. Wow, Irving, Texas.
Oh, is that right?
So we have,
Okay.
Tyler Lewis did say Texas.
Yes.
Let's see who else said Texas.
Well, there was a few other folks,
There's a
too.
few other folks
Yeah.
up top. Lisa Dinsmore said Texas.
All
Nice
right.
work to both of
Good
you.
job,
Buy
you
that
guys.
lottery ticket.
Okay, so big story coming out of Washington. Another executive order from the White House. This time, President Trump is seeking major changes to how elections are run in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to require voters to show proof that they are U.S. citizens before they can register for federal elections. This is only a federal thing, so it would be like members of Congress, the Senate, president, and also that you can only count mail-in or absentee ballots that are received by Election Day, not the ones that dribble in later from, California especially.
Yes.
I think they let you, they keep it open for 7 days. I don't know if they
Wow.
send somebody out to the mail slot every day, like on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And so, anyway.
That's a lot of,
So
a
this,
long time.
there's a lot of pushback. People are saying, hey, maybe I don't know where my birth certificate is. I don't have a passport. You're going to tell me I can't vote. On the other hand, there are just concerns over making sure that people who are, in fact, voting are actually citizens, which for the large part they are. What we say.
Well, and one of the arguments is that a lot of other countries do this. A lot of other countries say you need to show identification to vote.
Mm-hmm.
We have a comment on the poll question. Do you want to pull the poll question up, Ron? Because there's a lot of comments.
Let's do it.
So the poll question is, the Trump issues this new order. Voters must provide proof of citizenship and all ballots must be in by Election Day. Right now, we've got 268 votes and counting. 75% of you say it's a good move. It's not that hard to prove you're a citizen. And we have some comments down below.
Oh, yeah. 16
16
What do you
comments.
got,
So
Celeste?
we do have a comment, and it says, I'm not from America, and this is standard here. I asked this person, and I said, where are you
yeah,
from?
right.
So I'm waiting for their response on that.
Okay.
So Jack Saro said, I tried to get a real ID from my state, and by the way, you have to have it in May. May's the deadline.
Correct.
And we're hearing that there are some delays in terms of getting that real
The lines
ID.
are getting longer.
The appointments
Get
are
it
getting
done.
booked.
Get down to the DMV. It's only going to get worse every day.
He says I tried to get a real ID from his state. They rejected my social security card, original birth certificate, and an expired U.S. passport. Now he can't fly. Soon I won't be able to vote. So he's going to try to work his way around that. But you never know. You got to make sure you get it ahead of time so you can
Right.
get where you need to go.
Yeah.
We
okay.
want to make sure he gets to Cabo or wherever he's headed. Good for you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's where things stand right now in the poll question. A lot of votes today, pushing
Yes.
300 already. 75% say, look, it's not that hard. Just prove you're a citizen. 22% say millions could lose their right to vote. 3%. I only like that part where the ballots have to be in by Election Day. We always try to give you multiple options when it comes to the poll question.
That's right.
So also happening today, Celeste, The Atlantic,
Yes.
which is a magazine that I think up until like 2 days ago, a lot of people maybe weren't even familiar with.
I was thinking the ocean, but go ahead.
They have now released the entire chat
Yes.
text among the national security officials, showing that Pete Hegseth provided the timing of the warplane launches. And this was before the men and women flying those attacks against the Houthi rebels, which were told that was a very successful attack, and definitely sent the message to this particular terrorist group
Correct.
that hides out in Yemen that you cannot keep attacking American ships or ships from any other nation. So Hegseth is continuing to say that he did not reveal war plans. We're not at war with Yemen.
Correct.
We're not at war with the Houthis, but we do want them to knock it off. I mean, they're not even a nation. They're just
Right.
a group of
people,
terrorists
rebels, yeah.
who are hiding out in that nation.
Yes.
So, nevertheless, this is some of what was said. Once again, hot seat stuff in Washington.
Now we come to learn that people in the most dangerous and sensitive jobs on the planet put extremely specific pre-decisional discussions about a military attack on signal, which could be intercepted by the Russians and the Chinese. Everyone here knows that the Russians or the Chinese could have gotten all of that information, and they could have passed it on to the Houthis, who easily could have repositioned weapons and altered their plans to knock down planes or sink ships. I think that it's by the awesome grace of God that we are not mourning dead pilots right now.
It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a signal chat with high-level national security principals having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. The National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this, and the National Security Council is conducting an in-depth review along with technical experts working to determine how this reporter was inadvertently added to this chat. The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared. There were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared.
With regard to
There we had, I don't know, we may have also some other comments. We'll keep monitoring.
Yeah.
But we can tell you this, there's now been a bipartisan call for a full investigation from both Republican and Democrat senators in the
Yes.
Senate. And if
Yes.
that gets rolling, this will be a story that'll be with us for a long time.
I think so,
Yeah.
especially now that this text string has been released. I think that's what people have been waiting to read,
Sure.
right?
Right.
And
And a full explanation. How'd this one guy ever, he's in the grocery store parking lot. He thinks at first it's some sort of a hoax. Then he realizes it's real. How did he ever? We still don't have that answer.
no, how did it happen?
Right.
And Ron, are you on WhatsApp? Apparently, I'm being told Signal is like WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I used to, but not
So
anymore.
I'm on WhatsApp, and sometimes you'll get a random. I'll get a random call.
Oh,
like
yes?
just hey, how's it going? I'm
Really?
like, who is this?
Would it be from a gentleman caller?
I don't know. But I'm like, who is this? You know, but it's wild that like something like this could
Yes.
happen.
Can I just tell you this? On top of everything else going on in Washington, it's about the most beautiful time of the year. If you haven't
Aw.
seen, these are pictures from, Crystal found these. These are from our sister station in Washington. Right now, the cherry blossom blooms are at their peak.
Yes.
The tidal basin is the place to be. You look over there, and across the way, you see the Washington Monument, the Jefferson Monument. It's beautiful enough in its own right. But it's interesting, these were a gift from the city of Tokyo. Some people think it's from the nation of Japan to the U.S. No, it's from the city of Tokyo
Aw.
to the city of Washington in the year 1912. William Howard Taft was the prez, and Helen Taft, a first lady we rarely speak about. Sure, she was a nice gal for
I
sure.
think so.
She and the wife of the Japanese ambassador, actually planted the first trees March 27th, 113 years ago.
Isn't it amazing that they've survived all
Yes.
this time?
Yeah.
Who's fertilizing these beautiful things? This
I-
a national horticulturist? I mean, it's got to be.
Well, knowing Washington, probably, but you could have also just ran down and got some Miracle Grow over at the Lowe's or the Home Depot.
It's really actually quite spectacular.
All right, let's talk a little bit about diets. because the story came
Ron.
out this morning about
Who
the
wants
fella.
to talk about diets?
Oh, I know. But if we can
Although,
learn,
this
there's a
one's good.
guy who decided, he didn't really talk about it ahead of time. Now he's come out and he said, okay, I logged my whole journey. He says he lost 132 pounds by eating at a Chick-fil-A every day
Yes.
for the last 2 years. Now, let's see. His name is Tom Carroll. He ordered a spicy Southwest salad, so it certainly helped that he wasn't getting those buns, those full-carb buns.
Even though they're quite delicious, Ron.
The buns?
The buns.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but,
I think almost like a brioche in that foiled bag.
Yeah. It's frustrating for me. I'm diabetic, and I test, and if I eat it without the bun, it's pretty good on the blood sugar.
Yeah.
But if you eat the bun,
It's no bueno.
I think there are ways they could go more keto on their buns. But anyway, if you were going to go to one location, Celeste,
Yes.
and actually just eat there for 2 years, and you and I love Chick-fil-A,
Yes, I love Chick-fil-A.
but what would your selection be if you hoped, like Tom, to lose 132 pounds, which, by the way, don't do that.
What restaurant chain would I frequent?
Either fast food
Okay.
or like a nicer place, a walk-in.
I would go like a Chipotle,
Okay.
or I would go like a Cava,
Don't-
which is like a Mediterranean Chipotle.
Don't you think, though, with Chipotle, you have like about 8 items on the whole menu? Wouldn't you get tired?
Well, you can go veggie bowl and do the veggies and no meat. Some days I would skip out on the brown rice, maybe go white some days. No
Okay.
beans, maybe go lettuce, or maybe go a burrito
Go
once
with
in
the
a while.
barbacoa.
Yeah, do a quesadilla
Okay,
potentially.
right.
Ron, how much time do we have? Because I could talk
1
about
minute.
this
1
all
minute.
morning.
Yeah.
You know I love food.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I would go with, and I think it would be Wendy's.
Oh, Frosty. Do you dip your fries in the Frosty or no?
No, I don't even have fries anymore because they're
Oh,
too
no.
bad on the carb scale.
What about sweet potato fries?
But Dave's Double. You still haven't tried the Dave's Double, I
No,
don't think, and
I
I
don't-
keep singing its praises. Come on, Celeste.
It's too expensive.
Right.
We made burgers at home last night,
Oh,
Ron.
we're making them at home tonight,
You
too.
are?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, that's
Gary
a good way
makes
to
a
go.
good burger.
Does he?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe salad and go. Maybe
Mr.
that would be.
Mr. Paul Valine said he'd go McDonald's.
Way to go, Mr. Paul Valine. Okay, you guys can keep chatting with us. We love chatting
Yes,
with
we
you in the chat
do.
box. But Celeste, you know what? Got to say goodbye.
Oh, Lil Philosophy says Big Mac diet. Have a
Nice.
great day, everyone.